Hello, my name is Michael. I can't put into words what happened to me that night. I still can't sleep peacefully. How I regret that I went there. It was evening. I collected all the necessary things and was ready to go. I was driving to a small house in the countryside that I rented on the internet to do a little hunting, be left alone with nature, and leave a photo booth for the night. Who doesn't know the photo? A camera is a device that immediately takes a photo when movement is visible in the lens. I had been driving for 30 minutes. According to the navigator, there were only 10 minutes left, and I would be there. The sun was already slowly setting, and there was a forest in front. Now I was there. Night fell quietly, and darkness penetrated every corner of the forest, like a flame of dim glow. I went into the house, sat down on the sofa, and began to sort out the things that I had taken with me. Today was the day I had been waiting for a long time, the day my hunt began. I collected everything I needed: a rifle, ammunition, flashlights, and, of course, a camera trap. I was passionate about hunting and regularly went into the forest in search of game. I was going to spend the night in the house. Although no, it looked more like an old hut that stood in the middle of the forest, several tens of kilometers from the nearest village. As darkness fell, I decided to lift my recliner chair closer to the window to admire the moonlight and the surrounding silence. After sitting for a while, I realized that I couldn't sit idle. That night, I decided to set up a camera trap to capture the moments that might have happened in my absence. The camera trap was smart and modern. Although I wasn't very skilled, I configured it so that it would trigger with any movement within its radius. After installing the device, I settled down on my bed and fell asleep, believing that this night would pass like all the previous ones. However, my sleep was disturbed by a strange rustling sound from outside. I woke up trying to figure out what could have caused such a sound. In the darkness, everything seemed calm, but something told me that something had changed in the forest. I stood up decisively and went to the window to see what was happening. I took a flashlight and shined the light into the darkness. I looked and saw that something was running between the trees. I flinched. My body was filled with fear, but I read everything into the fact that it was a bear or a boar. One way or another, there was only one way to check this. I put on a jacket and sneakers. Before going out, I looked out the window just in case and went out with caution. As I approached the place where I had set up the camera trap, I noticed that it had been moved from its place. I took it and, looking back at a quick pace, went into the house and locked it. I sat down on the sofa, inserted the flash drive into the laptop, and started watching. At first, there was nothing interesting, ordinary hares and birds. Then I opened the photo. The blood froze in my veins from what I saw. It was a deer, but not an ordinary one, as if the simplest deer, with antlers and hooves, but its face resembled a human one. I thought that the photo booth was already old and it was raining, but my tension increased and I began to feel uneasy. Despite this, I decided that I would go to bed. I already lay down, covered myself with a warm blanket, and was already ready to fall asleep when then the wind got excited. I could hear the leaves rustling in the trees. And a couple of minutes later, I heard a distinct knock on the door. I froze. 3 a.m. Who can knock on the door? I tried to think rationally. Indeed, the animals around the forest would hardly be able to knock on the door. Maybe some traveler or mushroom picker got lost. The light is on in the house. Maybe someone really saw it and decided to ask for help. Having come to this conclusion, I couldn't think of anything better than finding out who was behind the door. Who is there? Taking a deep breath into my lungs, I shouted. There was silence in response. I repeated the question. Again, there was silence in response. And then suddenly I heard steps. Not just steps, but distinctly human ones. I froze. Then silence. No knocking on the door. No more steps around the house. I didn't hear. I didn't risk going out until the morning. And of course I couldn't fall asleep after that. Morning came and I left the house. The first thing I noticed was the footprints. The entire area was trampled with them. These were traces of bare human feet, but not ordinary ones, but some strange ones, as if elongated, and the fingers were a little long. But the sun had already risen, and there was no fear that was at night until the evening. When I had to go to the car to charge the laptop, I came to the car, got into it, and turned the key. Nothing happened, nothing at all. I got out of the car, opened the hood, and it was as if I had been electrocuted.